Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pull tab spinner card, and this is how it works. So let's go ahead and get started. What I need is our base of our card, which is 10 by 6, where it is at 5, and then we're also going to score it again at 5 and 1/4, and we're gonna, so 5 1/4, and we're gonna need this because we're gonna be covering our mechanism up on the inside. And this centerpiece is a 1/4 inch wide, and we're gonna make it 4 1/4 long. So we've done this before, where we measure off our piece that's a 1/4 inch wide and 1/4 inch long, and then we'll place it in the center of our card, draw it, and then cut it out, and then we'll have the hole. And we're going to save this piece because we're going to use it so we can utilize something that we already have. So don't throw that away. And then we're going to need 2 pieces 5 by 6, and then we're going to, of course, use our piece again and cut it out. 2 of these, and they are let's see, 4 3/4 by 5 3/4, and these are going to go on the opposite sides. And this, I wanted to add another layer to mine. Is not necessary if you don't want it. I just cut out some scallop edges, and then I debossed mine with my machine. Again, it's not necessary, but if you would like this one, it's the same size as the sheet on the side because I'm going to layer it like so, and it's 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. And then we're also going to need some fishing wire, and I'm going to say 19 inches should do it, and that would give us some extra to play with. We're also going to need our pull tabs, and these measure 3/4 wide and 6 3/4 inches long. And then a hole punch, or if you don't have a hole punch, take a circle and just cut out a spot for your center. And I probably went, we'll see, yeah, it's about a 1/2 inch down. I went for the hole punch. You'll need at least 2 of these, and these are going to need to be a heavier weight paper. If you don't have heavier weight paper, then do more than 2. But I'm also going to add 2 more to mine because I don't want mine white. So if you would like to do that, you can also do that. And that's it, guys. So we can get started on making our card. Let's get busy. The first things that we're going to need to do is to make our mechanism. I wanted it to be where everybody could make it on their own, so I figured out how to do it with paper. This piece of paper right here measures 1/4 of an inch wide, and I made it 5 inches long. Is what we're actually making is this, like, I think of a spool, and I finally figured out what would make it stick and where the mechanism wouldn't mess it up. And super glue works, or E6000 works. I tried hot glue, I tried my Tombow glue. I have a clear Tombow glue I've tried Mod Podging it, and this, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So we're just going to take it and curl it up like so. And then we're just going to roll it into the middle of the spool. However you think is easy is to do it for you. And I've just started mine like so. And now I'm going to put it between my finger and my thumb, and then I'm just going to pull it and turn. Pull it and turn. Now we don't want to roll it too thick because we want it to be able to slide very easily in our mechanism, where we're going to put our mechanism in that hole. So you kind of, need to check. I think I'm on my third turn, and it also depends how tight you're rolling it. So I don't want to give you an exact number, because if you're rolling it really tight and small, then you're going to be able to wrap it, further around. So that's what mine is looking like, and I think I'm good with that. So what I do here is take a little bit of my glue, and then I'm just gonna put a little, and then I'm gonna spread it out. So it's smooth. You probably can't see it on camera. And then just roll it around it again. Then once my glue is all covered up, I'm going to take my scissors and snip it. And you want to make sure this is glued all the way down. And if you don't feel like it is, then I just put a little bit more glue, because I don't feel like mine's in that corner. I'm putting a little bit more glue on my piece of paper, and I'm just going to move it around there a little bit along my edge. And then I'm going to smooth it down. Now what I am going to do is check to make sure this is not too big to fit between here. And it's moving a little snug, but not too snug. But what I also like to do is, where I glued it down, I'm going to take my file and just buff it down until it's smooth, until I don't feel anything. I don't feel hardly anything at all, so I'm going to buff it a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. So now what you can do is take whichever glue. I'm using the E6000. This is stuff I just had around my house. I really try to utilize what I have. And our 1 inch circle that we made, we're going to just take one of them and put some glue on the bottom of it. And I'm pretty generous here. I don't know if you can see, but not being cheap about the glue. And then stick it as best as you can in the center of your circle. And then we're just going to push it down. Now what I also did is, if you have one of these paper clips, I took mine and just clipped it on here just to help it stay in place and adhered, and then I'm just going to set it aside and wait until we need it again. Okay, what I want to do is go ahead and get our pull tab glued together. So let's do that. Alright, and this is what mine's looking like so far. And again, you don't have to put the colored on top. I just didn't want it white for mine, and I didn't have any heavier cardstock in another color that I wanted to use. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and start gluing our sheets onto our card. So let's do that. Okay, what I also did, guys, is I went back and cut mine a little bit further down so I'd have a little white edge around it. And that's just optional, but I wanted to let you know I changed mine up to have this little white edge seen now too. So let's continue on and glue the other side. Okay, we got everything glued on, and why you saw me put the white sheet of paper over my card is I have such a hard time when I use white keeping it clean, and I didn't want anything to get on it when I was rubbing it down. So this is what our card should be looking like thus far. Now it's time for our mechanism, our little rolly thing we're gonna make. We started, and this is how I showed y'all what I did with mine. It seems pretty dry right now, so what we're gonna need to do is have our piece we've already glued together, our pull tab, and we're gonna put it on and set it through. Now I'm putting mine on the inside, and I'm going to end up covering this up so you don't see it. So whichever side you want it to pull from, you know, if you want it to pull this side, make sure your pull handle is going this way. And yeah, so what I'm doing is just seeing how tight it feels with all my extra layers and seeing if it's catching, and it doesn't seem to be catching at all. Oh, right there maybe. Okay, so since mine feels like it's catching, what I'm gonna do is take this out, and I'm just gonna get me a file, and I couldn't use my other one I usually use because it won't fit in here, and just sand it down just a little on each side. And actually, because mine is on both sides, it's actually doing it at the same time. And this is only if it's catching. So let's put our pull tab in with our little pin right here, and let's, oh yeah, that's much, but see how much smoother? It's not catching at all. And I'm just holding it like this so we can make sure the sides are down on it. Yeah, that feels nice. Okay, now we're gonna take your super glue, your glue, whatever glue that you have that is working for you, and we're going to glue it on top. So let's go ahead and do that. And guys, we're gonna have to set this aside and let it dry for quite some time. Let's wait. Let's try an hour and see if it's dry then. But if it's not, then we're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer. But then we can move on. So let's do that, and then we'll meet back here in just a little bit. Okay, so we have our cap put on, we let it dry and set. Now what we're going to do is take our piece that was left over from cutting out the center of our card, just kind of line it up at the top here, and we don't want it tight because we want this to be able to, you know, move freely. So what I usually do is just take make sure it's lined, your pull tab is lined up straight. I usually take my little, I don't know what this thing is called, scraper, and just fold it like so. So that way you're gonna have an edge over here, and then fold it down. If it's too long, just snip it off. And then I just leave this edge just a little bit longer than the pull tab, because then that will stop it too tight against the mechanism. And then you can, where you folded it, you can take it off, and then you can see where you need to cut it. So we should have something that looks like so, and we already have it folded. So what I'm gonna do is take my glue and put it on the center part. Okay, now we should have this part glued down. Now we're just gonna glue the rest of this down, and this is just going to keep our pull tab from moving all over the place. Alright, we got that done. Now we should just be moving in our pull tab is keeping it in place. Alright guys, it's looking good. So the next thing is where we're going to need foam tape. That's what I'm using. I also use, if I didn't have foam tape, you can create, get you a piece of paper, because what we're going to do is this is going to hold our fishing line or string, whatever you have to use it, in place. You want this to be sturdy. It's gonna have to go, one piece is gonna go here and one piece is gonna go on top of our pull tab holder. So it needs to fit here. So I'm not going to be using this part, but I did use it on my other cards when I was testing out how to make this. You can snip a little place like so. There you go. And once you pull your fishing string, this will hold it, and it needs to be, you know, pretty sturdy. And you can glue the piece down here, and then we're going to also need, of course, our tearing tape. So how I did mine on one of them, and I like this way better, not that the other way with the paper didn't work, because it did. I took a piece of my foam tape and just kind of, you know, I can't see that, just kind of eyed it to what I need to cut off. I don't want it hanging over the edge over here. So that looks about what I want, but I don't want to put this down yet because we're going to need our fishing line. So what we're going to do is, I don't know if you can see the fishing line, but I am going to take my piece of foam and put it on the bottom of it, and then place it down. And I'm placing it right in front of my mechanism. And you want a good size piece on this side. That's, can you see that? There you go. Maybe if I put, I'm gonna say it's about 2 inches long is this piece of fishing line on the side. And why we wanted a piece on the side is because we're gonna weed it in and out of our tearing tape. So, and I'm gonna pull this piece of my tearing tape, and if you're not using this, you're just gonna have your piece of paper like I showed you, and take your piece of tearing tape, and then we're gonna fold it back this way, the piece of fishing line, like so. And what we're doing is just securing it. So we're gonna pull it up. So now we're gonna take it and we're gonna come back over this way again with it. So we're just like weaving it back and forth to make sure it's secure. And then I'm gonna put another piece of tearing tape over it. And I think I'm gonna do mine one more time. Fishing line, and I found that 3 times is plenty enough. But before we do that, 3 times wrapped around here is plenty enough. I'm gonna put a piece of my foam tape down because we're gonna stick it to it. And it's gonna be, you're gonna be pulling it pretty tight. So I found that if I have my things ready to place it down, it works better. So I'm gonna get those 2 ready. So I'm gonna have 2 because I'm gonna get like a little sandwich of the foam tape. So we're going to take it and spin it 3 times around. And when you do this, you want it pretty tight. Like, I'm pulling it nice and tight. So 1, 2, 3. And if you notice my card, how tight I'm pulling this, my card is a little bit lifted on this side. And so I'm going to take my foam tape and place it down, not letting go of this, and then take it off, and then we're going to weave it back and forth just like we did with the other. And if you're not sure it's going to work, you could definitely, like, I'll stop right here and we can check our mechanism out to see if it is working. So I'm going to put a little piece of, because my thing is white, I'm going to put a little piece so y'all can, of a different color, so you can see it, that it's turning, because I can easily take that back up. So let's see if we got this working. There it goes. We might have it a little too tight, so I might need to loosen mine up a little. Oh no, maybe it's not tight enough. It's come a little, it's not as tight as it was. I'll do it again. It's going good that way. It's on the way back. There we go. You're just gonna have to play with yours to see how tight or loose you need it. I mean, mine's pretty snug. But once you get it, it's working good. So I'm gonna leave mine as is. I thought I was gonna make it tighter, but I'm not. So now, just to secure this, let's just weave it back and forth a few more times. So I wanted to show you also how I'm gonna do this, because I don't want my mechanism part to be shown. So we don't want like anything resting on our little turn tab. So I'm just gonna use my foam tape and place it down. And I'm probably gonna have, because mine's not that thick, I'm probably gonna have to layer it several times. Okay, so I ended up putting 4 layers on the top of mine, and it's gonna depend how big or how thick your foam tape is, how many layers you'll need to do, but you just don't want it, you know, laying on your turn thing. So all I'm gonna do now is pull up my tape and lay my card down. And now we have our card down. Okay guys, this is what I ended up doing with my card. And got it all working really good. It's just a moving. I just decided to go with the dolphin theme and put a little anchor here and some waves. And of course, I just added a few hearts. And this is what I ended up, excuse me, doing with the inside. This is where we can write a little sentiment. And I put a few cards. I mean, a few hearts, not cards. And that's what I ended up doing. We did it. Alright guys, thanks for crafting with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.